How's it going, guys? Luis here, and Nintendo NX rumors are everywhere. This week, Eurogamer reported that they know what the NX is, and according to them, it's a portable handheld running an Nvidia Tegra X1 processor that can also connect to a TV for display out. Previous reports stated that the NX would be a console handheld hybrid that could be taken on the go and then docked on a home base station where it would get more power when you connect it to a TV. According to Eurogamer, that's not the case though. Instead, the NX will be like a gamepad handheld where the sides of the handheld can be detached when you connect it to a TV, so you can sort of have that home console experience with two players, although connecting it to a TV won't power up the system more than it already is. In terms of power, Eurogamer is reporting that the NX will be running a Tegra X1 processor, at least that's what the dev kits are said to be running on right now. But the final version of the NX may end up using something like a Tegra X2 processor that's yet to be announced. You see, the Tegra X1 chip came out in early 2015, and since the NX got delayed to 2017, it wouldn't be surprising if Nintendo decided to launch the handheld in 2017, not just because they want to make more games for it, but because they want a more powerful processor. Now, like I said before, rumors state that the NX dev unit is already using a Tegra X1 chip that's also being used in the current Nvidia Shield TV. The Nvidia Shield TV is a pretty powerful microconsole that can play last generation games better than the PS3 and 360. For example, the Nvidia Shield, although it's running Android, is still able to run console quality games like Resident Evil 5, Borderlands 2, Metal Gear Rising, and Doom 3. More often than not, these games run at a higher resolution and a faster frame rate on the Shield than they do on the PS3 and the 360. For example, Doom 3 will run at 720p 30 on console, but will smoothly play 1080p 60 on the Shield console. There are some exceptions though. For example, Metal Gear Rising, although it's playable on the Shield, looks like it has better textures on the console version than it does on the Shield. Technically speaking though, the Shield should overpower the console tech specs, so it's not really known why the console version is better in this case. It could be a bad port, it could be that the developers have to work around the Android operating system in order to use the full power of the Tegra X1 chip. On the case of Nintendo though, they most likely will end up using their own custom operating system, avoiding Android altogether, providing developers with better access to the power of the Tegra X1 chip or the possible Tegra X2 chip they might end up using. So if the Nintendo NX does stick with the Tegra X1, you can expect a handheld that's slightly more powerful than a PS3 or an Xbox 360. You could in theory expect to see Wii U-like games running at 1080p 30 or 1080p 60 on this new NX. Perhaps a higher resolution Zelda Breath of the Wild or Splatoon. After all, just look at Nintendo's catalog of previous console to handheld ports, and even on lower end hardware, they did a pretty good job. Comparing Super Smash Bros. Wii U to 3DS, graphics on the 3DS are of course worse than the Wii U, but it's still a really good playable game running at 60 frames per second. The same can be said about Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii to the new 3DS. The new 3DS version graphically isn't on par with the Wii version, but that's only by a little bit. If you look side by side though, for the hardware it's running on, the 3DS version looks really good. In fact, the Nvidia Shield has a couple of emulators on it that demonstrates it can run some pretty awesome console level games. For example, the Nvidia Shield that's running the Tegra X1 chip that's in the supposed NX dev unit can run things like Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep at full 1080p 60. It can also run Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube and New Super Mario Bros. Wii. If the Tegra X2 option turns out to be true, then you can expect it to be way more powerful than what I just said. Although that's not to say that it'll be as powerful as an Xbox One or PS4, because the Tegra X2 isn't technically announced yet. Regardless, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If the Tegra X1 rumor turns out to be true, would you still buy an NX? Does the NX handheld sound like something you'd want to buy, even though it's not as powerful as the PS4 or Xbox One? Sound off in the comment section below. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.